Sam and team, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Simply Podcast with myself, obviously, Spud, and my co-host, handsome as ever, Remmy Rexington. How are we?
Hello.
Yeah,
Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, no, not too bad. I mean, that's probably the nicest.
Nice chill intro there. A lot more appropriate for the morning than mine.
I mean, like, you listen, that's probably like the nicest intro you're gonna get from me, calling you handsome right off the bat. You know.
Great to start the day.
Indeed. Well, team, listen, we've got another podcast for you today. So if you're not already, make sure that you are subscribed if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're, listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, Yunnan TV, make sure that you are also following the podcast where you can as well. But yeah, team, again, we're going to be starting again with football because considering how the last podcast did as well.
Well.
Yeah, last podcast did really well, considering as well. And it was good. In fairness, I'm not going to lie, Mark Goldbridge brings the views, so yeah. There was a sneaky tactic for me, but we'll take
the game's
the game as well. In fairness, some of the shorts as well, the ones I didn't really expect to pop off did actually pop off, and the ones I thought would pop off didn't actually pop off, so fair dues. But yeah, team, again, we're going to be starting off with football again, and there was a massive, considering the last time we recorded the podcast, there was a massive drama between Liverpool and Spurs, or particularly over the questions VAR decision. Basically, for those that don't know what happened, game was sitting at 0-0. Luis Diaz goes through on goal and scores, but they was ruled off for offside. Now they went off with the on-field decision, but when you looked at the replays for it, Luis Diaz looks onside, but it was never checked. And when the audio came out for it, it's basically, there definitely seems to be confusion. Now, the issue for me on this is not the issue of the fact that, which is what a lot of people have, where they didn't check it. The issue for me is that they realised that he was onside and he never went back. And they realised pretty soon afterwards, right? So the game had already restarted and they realised afterwards, wait, he's actually onside. But because the rules state that they cannot intervene after the game's already been restarted, they couldn't go back and change it. And so realistically, that was a big issue.
But it was an issue with VAR not checking it. So why? I don't understand why it's still the same rules apply to it. It's not as if they think it was checked, but
sorry, actually, no, sorry, I missed. So they did actually check it. The issue was the issue was the communication part. So the lead guy on VAR, right? He basically he gets checked. Then he goes to him and he says, right, okay, fine, and then says start the play again, right?
Yeah.
To the referee, they restart the play, and then the assistant goes, wait a minute, are you sure about this? And it's like, he kind of pans it off for a second, and he goes again, are you sure about this? And it's like, wait, what do you mean? It's like, are you happy with this decision? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, he shows him again, it's like the fact he's onside with here, and then he's like, hold on a minute, wait, what? And then they look back at it, and it's. I'll maybe send you the audio as well for it. I can't really play it because it said it would get copyrighted. Yeah. Me doing it, but it is. It's my issue with it is the fact they noticed the error, and then they couldn't go back and do it, and it was something that came up quite a few times because people were like, in the rules it states they can't intervene. They can't intervene once the play's been restarted.
What's different from this in this circumstance that is different to them after the final whistle awarding us a penalty against Brighton and intervening and changing the outcome of the game?
So
what is different?
The difference between that one is because that one was being checked. So that one,
but this one, it sounds like this one was being checked. He said, "Are you sure about this decision?"
Yeah. So he basically. He didn't say you sure about the decision until after the game had already been restarted. That was the issue. So the process that they have for the check is, while play has not been restarted, they can check it as many times as they want. They can check it, keep going, they can take their time with the decision. Once play restarts, they then cannot intervene. At that stage, that phase of the check or that phase of the play is over. They can't go back and do it again. So when they spotted the error, they were tied by the rules that they had, and they couldn't go back. With the Man United penalty decision, that happened so late on that there wasn't a gap in play for them to check it. So the only gap in play at that point was for when the game had actually finished. And so therefore that was the only time the check could actually be done. It's the same if a red card incident happened late on, and so they needed to suspend the player. So they would then show the red card at the end of the game. It would be the same with a lot of us. If the end of the game is the only time they can check it, then in that case it was the only time they could check it was then. I kind of question,
But
actually.
it's because it's such a clear and obvious error. If you spot, like, the rules say we're not allowed to intervene, well, is it intervening to simply to pass on information that was clearly missed? You're not intervening, you're correcting the mistake.
Yeah, the thing is as well, you look at it afterwards, after it happened, right? And there wasn't any massive play that happened straight after. Like there wasn't any humongous thing that happened. Like we went out for a throw-in and stuff like that. Like there wasn't huge incidences that happened afterwards where they just definitely couldn't intervene. I think the next big incident that happens afterwards is the red card. Potentially. Oh no! Liverpool score first, don't they? Liverpool score first, and then they get the red card. Or is it the other way around? I can't remember exactly. I should add, this was 2 Sundays ago, I think.
And I was living under a rock. So.
Yeah. So it basically it's dominated social media. The fact I feel like a lot of people's issues are with the actual rule itself, but Liverpool were calling for basically sackings, and I don't feel that's necessarily right. I don't think it's right to be able to lose their jobs because they were following the rules which they were told they had to follow.
Well, why did they restart the game?
Yeah.
If they weren't 100%,
yeah,
your mistake possibly, depending on how far either of these teams go, that's a mistake that could potentially cost millions.
Yeah.
Either team. Seems kind of sackable to me.
I definitely get the argument for sackable. For being honest, I do get it, but for me,
we need, because the only thing that I've seen about this, and I was explaining to this before, was Paul Mercer going absolutely ballistic at Mike Dean, and this is why I believe ex-footballers and ex-players should be in that VAR box, not referees.
I agree and don't at the same time. I think it's almost impossible for them to be impartial.
Have both.
Yeah.
Because the referees clearly don't. You can understand the rules of the game without understanding the game.
Yeah. I think it's at that point. I can't remember who it was that said it. I think it was it might have been either Gary Neville. No, it was Mark Goldbridge. That's who said it. He was saying the fact that there was nobody that had the cojones to basically take ownership and basically say, no, we need to stop the game. We need to give that goal.
That is what some
because
rules are there for a reason. Yes, but sometimes the rules just don't work.
Yeah,
and if they don't work, there are maybe yes, they could appeal it, and then you could take it to whatever sports arbitration you want, and then settle it, take all the stuff out of it. The game is the game. You have to let football be football, and by not allowing that goal to stand, it's just not football.
No, not at all. And it just needed somebody to go against the rules, someone brave enough to go against the rules. They were worried about their jobs. Look, I get it from that perspective. I do. Like the fact that you don't want to go against the boss because, these rules were so clear and so laid out, and I think Spurs fans would have been a lot more accepting, and I think the world of football would have been a lot more accepting if they had actually cancelled out and gave the goal.
You will always get the fans that are going to be like, oh no, the rules are the rules. Well,
yeah, I mean, it would have been uproar in the stadium when it happened, but that was the fairer outcome for that to happen. And yeah, it's
it's sportsmanship. Do you remember when Marco Bielsa was screaming at his team to let the other team score because the Leeds player went through, and he was just give them the goal?
Yeah,
it's sportsmanship.
Aye, it's a frustrating one, but like we're looking at it because it's like this could so easily have happened to any other team as well. Like, I'm not saying that they were unlucky that this happened to Liverpool due to the fan base, but out of all the teams that you could have done this to, Liverpool is most definitely one of the worst ones they could have done it to because because of the
Their fans are
wrath.
ferocious.
Yeah, the wrath they faced on social media was humongous, and
Like,
yeah,
I don't think any other team, barring maybe Celtic and Rangers, has such a faithful, like, I will die for this team kind of fan base as the club, as Liverpool, because there's something demented about their fans.
aye, and you know what? Like, I feel like they had. I mean, I don't necessarily fully agree with how they've gone about it. Like, even the club kind of came out and hinted at the fact they wanted these people like sacked, and that still doesn't really sit well with me. That sense of it, but
It's a very Scouse thing to do, though.
yeah, I would much prefer the rules kind of change. I would, in my opinion, a positive outcome from this is where the change the put in a condition or rule in place, and where if there is an error, like an obvious error by VAR, that there is a way that this can be intervened and changed. There needs to be something in there, a contingency or whatever.
Simple, of like a 5-minute clause.
Potentially, yeah, something like that, or even like if there's
Within 5 minutes, you're bound to get a stop in the
yeah.
play.
Yeah, there's two assistant VAR referees, and then there's a head VAR referee. Have a fourth man there that can overrule. I mean, I know that's sketchy, but they can only overrule if there's an obvious error that's been in place.
Have that be the football player.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. And I mean, in fairness,
Players care more about the game than the rules.
yeah. I mean, in fairness, you got to think of it this way. This wasn't like offside is one of the things they actually get right 9 times out of 10 when they actually look at it.
No, I don't like the offside rule. There should be clear. Like, a millimeter is not a clear advantage. You need to be like. I like the Arsene Wenger rule that's being trialled in some places. There needs to be like a body's length ahead.
Oh yeah.
No.
From that perspective, yeah, but from the way the rule stands right now, offside out of like if you look at all the VAR ones they look at, so like penalties, red cards, everything, this is the one in which is actually the most factual. Like if you're onside or onside, it's more factual. Everything else is kind of a bit more opinion based. So this is the one that which was probably the easiest one to get right, and they messed it up, really.
Especially since it was so clearly onside.
Oh yeah,
like by a foot or two.
Yeah, it's definitely it's quite an easy one actually. For the fact that he's onside. So yeah, I 100% get Liverpool's frustration with it, and don't get me wrong, like I know that people will like question. I mean, in fairness, I should add as well, they turned down the option to have the system that they had in the World Cup. You know, the automatic offside thing.
I didn't even know that was.
Do you remember seeing it in the World Cup though? It's like where they get like the AI bodies, and then they have like the thing where it kind of shows like a kind of force field, and then like if the player's offside, their arms or something are sticking through the force field. It's a hard one to kind of to describe, but basically,
Oh no, I thought that was just their version of VAR.
No, that's an AI version.
Oh,
Basic. So there was a way that I think they deemed it was too expensive to implement in every single ground. UEFA's got it, so for the Champions League, it's there. So like they ruled out of having that system in place. So it's questionable about that. So they deemed, I think it was too expensive to implement. I think that was the reason. I'm not actually too sure, but I think we could definitely see that come into play for our next season potentially. So we'll wait and see what happens in that regard. You know what? Let's move on slightly on the side of football. There are multiple things obviously ongoing. I mean, one thing that I kind of feel a bit sorry for Luton, if I'm being honest, because they've come up to the Premier League, they've come to the promised land. They managed to improve their stadium a bit more, which is always a benefit, but I just don't see them surviving at all. I don't see, in fact, there's a few teams, I don't see Sheffield United. I'll tell you what, by the way, I don't know if you've seen that. Again, you don't have social media really. Did you see the broken leg?
Oh, yep.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Well, you know what? I don't get about that. There's barely any content in it.
oh. I didn't see the actual I just seen the aftermath.
Yeah, it was like there was so little in it, yet such a drastic incident.
And I know from experience that kind of injury causes quite a noise.
Yeah. Oh dear, it was bad.
Nasty. It was a right angle, man. It was awful.
Yeah, this is what
I feel so bad that his career might be over.
potentially. It honestly, I genuinely can't believe like the like how little or how much little pressure actually was needed to cause that. That was one of the most horrific ones I've seen in a long time, and it's madness looking at it.
It reminds me of the Anderson Silva one, like where his leg bent forward after he snapped his shin.
Oh dear. Right, okay, let's get off that before all our viewers click off because of cringing on that one. Right, okay, next one kind of look at, we'll talk about Man United briefly. And now look, Man United have been very underwhelming. I mean, Onana in particular just seems to nothing seems to be working for him. What's your thoughts?
I don't. He should have saved it. He should have saved it. It was an easy save. He got I'm not saying an easy save. This is the Premier League, like not comparing, but it's a goalkeeper's job to get. He got his hand to it, and his wrist just went. Why? I don't know. I don't know why we spent so much. I genuinely don't know what Ten Hag sees in him. Like, yes, I know he wants a progressive ball-playing keeper, and we do need to give him time because the Premier League is very, very different to Serie A. You cannot compare the two. But it's happening all the time. Is it his confidence? I don't know because he's a top goalkeeper apparently.
I would argue, right, of all the positions, the one that should realistically need the least amount of time to adjust would be the goalkeeper position because realistically, your job doesn't actually change that much compared to other leagues because realistically, your primary job is to save shots, and wherever you look at it, you have this rectangle which you need to stop the ball going through. It's regardless of what league you're in, that is your sole job. And at the moment, unfortunately for him, I will add, I feel like United have always been scammed. Because you looked at all the videos of him previously, and he looked amazing. Yep. With class. Like, don't get me wrong, anyone can look good in the highlight reel. But even from when I previously saw him at Ajax as well, he still looked class. So what the hell happened to him at Man United?
I do feel bad for him in the sense that the goalkeeper position at Manchester United is probably one of the toughest positions to fill. Because no matter what way you look at it, like look at what happened after Schmeichel. Look at what we went through until we got Van der Sar. Like, we were lucky enough to get the head, but do you remember how rocky his start was? He was still a phenomenal goalkeeper, but he was always. I wish we had the hair. I wish we had the hair.
He's still a free agent as well. He's not been signed by anyone. He's still a free agent.
He won't come back the way he was treated.
Yeah.
Ten Hag would have to sneak into his DMs at 4 a.m. and up.
Oh,
sorry.
Dear.
I'm sorry, boo. Miss you. Kiss, kiss.
Oh, dear. It's like that.
Maybe it wasn't you, it was me.
Oh, dear. It's like that old meme is feel like pure shit, just want to hear back. No.
I genuinely think we'd probably be top 6 at the minute if we had to. I mean, consider we are in 10th, so it's not like that much higher, but 4 places in the top 10 in the Premier League can be a lot. It can be quite the difference.
I mean, in fairness, there was also there's also I tried this in the Discord. By the way, team, if you're not ready, get yourself in the Discord as well. It's been really popping off of late, and we've been having some really good football discussions in there. One of the discussions I actually pointed out was the fact that Boateng is a free agent, the old Bayern Munich centre back, And I questioned to Andy, would you take him at Man United? And said right now in a heartbeat.
How old is he?
I'm not 100%. I know he's.
Well, I don't think that matters. Johnny Evans is like 35.
Yeah, I think he's in his 30s now. I'm not 100% certain, though, so don't quote me on that. But aye, would you take him now? And Andy was saying in a heartbeat right now. I mean, the current defensive situation at Man United is a bit of a weird one. You seem to have
the Premier League.
you have your elite centre backs with both Varane and Martinez, which again Martinez this season hasn't been great, but he's still better than what the other centre backs you've got there. And then every other centre back you seem to have after that is pretty much, well, to be honest, not great. And it's kind of like a bunch of Rob Holdings, my best way to compare it to.
Hey, leave Johnny Evans alone. He's our boy.
Yeah, but he's still like a Rob Holding.
I love him.
Yeah.
Happy he's back.
Aye.
Delusional.
Aye. And it's you've got an odd right back situation where you've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. Dalot I really like. Wan-Bissaka is obviously good at one side of this game, particularly getting better in another one, but it's a bit of an odd situation.
Still not there yet.
And then the left back, you go for an even weirder situation where you have no obvious cover for Shaw, so you're putting a defensive midfielder at left back instead. So, in my opinion, as a coach, you should go to free back, because when you've got no obvious good centre backs, free back allows the centre backs to cover each other. So you've got less pressure individually on the centre backs when you go to free back. So this is like a debate they had a while ago.
I think he did it in the cup.
Potentially, I mean, if you haven't got the best centre backs, a free back allows.
But it was a case of like Casemiro was dropping into centre back, so he was.
I mean, Casemiro at centre back, you could do a lot worse. So I
I'm sure he did that last season for us.
Yeah, I think I remember a couple of games where he did that. So I think free back could be the answer personally, at least until your normal centre back pairing comes back. Really, that's in my kind of coach's opinion. Really,
I would also start Garnacho over Rashford right now.
Yeah, potentially. I mean,
Rashford has not deserved to be in the team.
Aye,
kind of don't get it.
Aye,
Garnacho is playing out of his bloody skin.
Mm-hmm.
What else does he need to do?
Aye.
The Marcus Rojo thing starting to ring again. Like, do you remember when he came out with the interviews? Said like when he went to complain to Ole about like I should be playing. I was like, why are you playing him? He makes talking about Harry Maguire. Like he makes mistakes every weekend, and Ole's response was Manchester United paid so much money for him that he has to play. Like, why?
It's a weird situation Man United are in. Really weird. I
don't know what's happened. Everything's just fell apart.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I reckon Ten Hag is gonna get the sack at some point, and it's probably not even going to be his fault. To be honest with you, yeah.
Rangnick said it. Like there is open heart surgery needs done on in the inside of Manchester United.
Yeah.
The only thing that's gonna save us is being sold, and and it just needs to be a buyout. The Glazers cannot have anything to do with this team.
Yeah.
It is rotten to the bloody core. And no matter what Ten Hag does, because I think he's a phenomenal coach, and I don't understand why all the fans are like, yeah, I get it when people turned on Ole to agree. He didn't win anything.
Yeah.
But Ten Hag has got us a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
He brought stability. He shored up the defence. And yes, we got our asses kicked a few times, but when we needed to turn up, at times he got us to turn up.
Mm-hmm.
He got the best out of individual players. He dragged 30 goals in a season out of Rashford, and now all of a sudden I'm hearing Ten Hag out. Why?
Yes.
Why is the same not being said for Poch at Chelsea? They're below us.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's friendly with the media.
I mean, in fairness to Chelsea, right? They were in a weird situation. They were playing well, but they could not put the ball in the back of the net. Like they were we were talking about this actually on stream yesterday. Like they were I think they were second most chances created, but like relegation standard goals scored. Like they were creating chances, but they just weren't putting the ball in the net. And I think with them scoring 4 yet, now don't get me wrong, it's against Burnley, right? Which was kindly pointed out by everyone in the stream when I was saying our Chelsea back. This like it was kind of pointed out the fact that the fact they scored 4. Realistic, that kind of result there can really catapult you. And considering that Mudryk scored his first goal during the week, they could really kick on from this. And
I mean, Chelsea have a good manager and they do have good players.
Oh yeah, I mean, considering they've got like $1 billion worth of players, genuinely within the squad, so it would not surprise me if they kicked on from there and came into top 4 contention. Because of the kind of players they do actually have at the club, they do have good players. It's just they haven't really gelled properly. I think next season in particular could be huge.
I don't know. I think it's Spurs for the league. Harry Kane leaves and Spurs win the title.
I am kind of slightly satisfied that Ange has done well at Spurs because the reception he received when he first went over, like the Spurs fans.
He came from Celtic, didn't he?
He came from Celtic, yeah. Celtic loved him over there because of the style of play that he was playing, and now they're not sold at all on Brendan Rodgers. I mean that's
Brendan's back.
Yeah. I mean I don't rate Brendan Rodgers at all because he hasn't done anything in Europe. I mean I know we had this discussion again on stream as well. It's the fact that for me the success for Celtic when they're winning the league so comfortably, it has to come in Europe. They have to be winning games in Europe. At least getting to the knockout stages, right? That's got to be the minimum in Europe. Whether that is for the Champions League or it's the Europa League, they have to. If they're going to the Europa League, they have to get decent position in there. Obviously, at the moment, I think favourites for the Europa League are probably going to be Liverpool this year. So that I kind of get.
Newcastle for the Champions League.
I think it's very unlikely because the one thing they've got is St James's Park. It's unreal, but away from home I feel like they're a bit weak. So I think that's where they're going to fall short in the end with Newcastle. But who knows, in fairness. I mean, they absolutely turned PSG over, but PSG, to be honest with you, have not been great. They're not at the top of the table in France.
Can't do it in a cold night in Newcastle.
There you go. The team just doesn't look as good. They got rid of Neymar out of the team, and their attack just doesn't look as good. I mean, they got Kolo Muani, which is he's a good player, to be fair to him, but he's still young, and needs a bit of time to kind of become like fulfill his potential. I still can't believe he missed that chance in the World Cup as well. The World Cup final where he goes clean through on goal, and basically all he has to do is basically either lift it over Martinez or hit it with power across him, and he tries to slot it under him. And it just doesn't. That was madness. France should have won that World Cup as well. That's mental.
But I'm glad the GOAT won it.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of glad as well for Messi in some ways. It's a great way to sign off that.
Greatest of all time.
Aye, and in fairness, is the conversation about who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. A lot of people say Messi.
For football, Haaland should win it, but for the legacy, Messi.
Yeah, I think May will be Messi.
Haaland single-handedly won Manchester City a treble.
I wouldn't say single-handedly.
No, I mean the goals he scored.
Yeah, but he's like single-handedly to me says the fact that he's going to, like, he ran through the team and scored. It was more like Man City. Like sometimes he was going the entire game with
If they have any other striker up front, they don't do that.
Oh yeah, no.
And that to me is that player. Like what Man City won the league. Fergie buys Van Persie. Van Persie wins us the league.
Yeah,
same situation.
I mean, in fairness, though, this was going to be controversial. I think Van Persie did more for Man United than what Haaland's done for Man City. But the way that this is, like, I'll explain this. Man City were creating these chances before Haaland joined. like they were creating all these chances before, but the issue was they weren't putting them into Haaland. So realistically, with Haaland being there, he now has tap-ins and easy chances, which is good. They have a striker that's actually able to score that. But Van Persie, for me, I feel like what he did for Man United was just outside. I mean, that goal against Villa, that volley.
Oh, no, yeah, the pass from Rooney and then the volley, just outside of the foot volley as well.
Yeah, he also had a really nice one against Everton as well. Like there was just certain goals and stuff like that. Only Van Persie.
I love how quickly he won won over United fans.
Yeah,
he just turned up.
Yeah, like I said, it's a controversial one, and I'm fully aware of that. It's more because that Man City's team is so damn good. Like that Man City team is better than what Man United had at the time. Like the Man United had good players, good individuals. They had like the likes of Rooney. They obviously had Van Persie. Like they had good players individually, but Man City have one of the best teams. I mean, you got to bear in mind as well. You know, they won the Champions League as well last season, and it wasn't just because of Haaland, but obviously Haaland was a big factor. I think the year before they got to the quarterfinals or something like that, or semis, I can't remember. I think they only just missed out on the final, so they just needed the striker. Haaland was the final piece of the puzzle, while Van Persie was a key component. That's what I'm kind of saying here. Haaland was the last piece that filled this entire picture that we could see Man City were building, while Van Persie was a key factor in or key component or key cog.
I honestly think you're making the same point about both players, just in different ways. That's all that sounds to me. I think you're making the exact same point about both players, just in different ways.
I'm not saying it's a country mile. Van Persie did more for Manchester United. I'm not saying it's a massive gap. I'm just saying it's slightly in the sense of Man United are maybe potentially more reliant on Van Persie than what Man City are on Haaland.
I would say that Van Persie was a better football player, but Haaland's a better goal scorer.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you on that one.
Because Haaland he's obviously the best bloody forward on the planet, but his passing is there's a lot to his game that bugs me, but nobody ever talks about it because when it comes to scoring goals, he's a freak of nature. He is a freak of nature. He will eclipse the record set by Messi, Ronaldo. Like they are going to be eclipsed by this kid. He's still at what, 22?
Around about, yeah. He's not old at all, and he's kind of molded by the gods almost, isn't he?
He's just the perfect scorer. Yeah,
when you're looking for a striker, you pretty much. I mean, don't get me wrong, you would probably want to have a slightly better weak foot as well, but
yeah. Imagine what happens if he starts practicing with his weak foot.
Aye. I mean, in fairness, I should add, the professional footballers are not bad ever with a weak foot. It's just in game situations, they're just not.
Confidence when you know you have such a key moment ahead of you, you'll naturally just want to take it with your other foot. That's why you see so many players not taking shots on their weak foot. Because there's some psychological aspect there where they are afraid to miss.
No. Right, I feel like we maybe talked enough about football at the moment. Time for even more controversial than my previous statement. Very controversial moment that happened with Kick TV. Now, this dominated social media. Well, I say dominated social media. It dominated certain parts of social media, but to be honest, the coverage of this was not overly. It wasn't great. So I decided to kind of take it upon myself to kind of explain it a little bit more as to what actually happened and can explain maybe potentially two sides of stories and also Kick's reaction as well. Now, team, there was going to be elements of this that potentially anyone of a nervous disposition may not like, particularly talking about likes of prostitution and women's women being put in difficult situations. So if you don't want to hear it or anything like that, or if nervous disposition, please do step away or stop listening at this point and maybe fast forward half an hour in the podcast. But yeah,
on YouTube it'll probably be a good idea to leave a timestamp.
Yeah, probably will do. So team, Tate, to explain kind of what actually happened on Kick. So a lot of people are familiar with the content creator Ice Poseidon. Now he has been doing the constant stream where he lives off viewer donations every day. But what happened on a stream, I think it happened almost about 2 weeks ago, roughly. Basically, he got a viewer on stream, and they went up to a apartment building and basically paid for an escort to come in for this viewer of the stream. Now, what happened was that they were just basically paying the escort to kind of do stuff with the streamer, right? Goes without saying. That's kind of the obvious aspect of it. Now, what we'll say is that she was aware that she was getting live streamed, right? The guy did point out the camera to her, and it was very wild. Like, we've seen some dodgy stuff on live streams before, but this was really, really bizarre.
Like, did they do it on camera?
Not really. The way like no one was actually naked on camera, but there was a lot of hand gestures and hand movements, and but yeah, there was a lot of that going in, and a lot of kissing and stuff like that. It was kind of an awkward scenario considering there was 50,000 people watching. Which is
what platform was this on?
Kick. This is on Kick, right? Now, reason why this is caused so much stir, even just with that statement alone, right, is that the Kick CEO, one of the Kick founding members, was in the stream, and he put a laughing face and stuff like that in chat. Right? Now, that's one of the reasons why this has caused such a stir, right? The next part of this is what also really caused an issue, and basically, eventually, once the girl found out kind of how many people were watching, she became obviously uncomfortable in the situation, like very much so, and she tried to leave. Now, the only thing that
I'm not liking where this is going.
Now, this is where I say there are two sides to this in some ways. It really depends. Well, it doesn't depend on your perspectives. There's many wrong steps that have happened in this. When she tries to leave, the guy basically stops her. Right now on social media, the only thing I saw was the fact that he was trying to stop her and stuff like that. Like she was like, it's all the guy's fault. Basically, the guy was just asking for the money back. I think he was from what I can see in the video, he looks like he was actually fine with her leaving. It's just he wanted the £1,000 back. Or $1,000 back, which the lassie refused to give. Which this is where I see is very questionable and controversial, because that's going to make you form an opinion on the matter. But regardless of the situation, it's never really okay for her to kind of be refused to pay. Like, she was obviously trying to leave, and the guy basically held the door and basically refused her to leave. And eventually, Ice Poseidon came out and basically said, "No, it's fine. On you go." Because he was in another room while this stream was ongoing, and I don't know what the idea of the content was. If this was supposed to be funny, if this was supposed to be, well, whatever. Really, I've not got really an idea why they felt like this was content. But yeah, basically, eventually, a guy leaves. Now, the guy, the viewer that gets up, it has quite an obvious erection as well. Like, it's very obvious on stream. Like, it's actually one was pointing at you. Yeah, and then this is all on a platform that does not have age restrictions yet. To point this out, this is all viewable by anyone coming onto the platform. And like I said, there was about 50,000 people watching this, and it is, when I say questionable, there's so many wrongdoings in this, so many. And
this is the kind of behavior and the kind of crap that makes parents think that, oh, it's gaming and this online stuff that's causing all the problems with my kids. Well, if this is what's out there, you are giving them the ammunition. These are why things are getting banned. Why? I don't understand what was going through his head. It there's no right way to say that this should be on this platform, that this is content.
Yeah. Don't right.
If you're just streaming your daily life and this is how you live your life, man, to each their own. It's none of my business. Doesn't belong on a streaming platform unless it's behind a paywall and a big old age restriction.
Yeah. It's I should add as well, Ice Poseidon I think is still live right now. I believe like he this is where there's another failing as well. So from Kick, they did release a statement, right? And now Kick's kind of advertisement, which is where this is main part where it really gets this bad rap. Like, don't get me wrong, it has the rap for the gambling aspect of it, but it's got more TOS than Kick Twitch does for gambling. Like, there's a lot of rules in regards to that, and there's also yes, it is founded by Stake, which are Saudi backed, and they do have kind of infinite money in many ways, and are making money for big people going over to Stake. Yes, it gets that rap as well, but its main issue is the fact that its TOS does not cover enough or does not get enforced enough, particularly when it comes to likes of hate speech or scenarios like this that don't get acted on properly. And so Ice Poseidon was not reprimanded in any way whatsoever in regards to this content going out there. Nothing at all happened. And Kick's statement was very much just an acknowledgement of what had happened. It was not in any sense or form an actionable statement. It was just more the case, yes, this has happened. We are still trying to find the boundaries for streaming. Bear with us while we still learn these boundaries. Like that was their statement basically in this regard. So again,
they essentially just went, "My bad, guys."
Yeah, it's the most it's like a politician coming out after a scandal's just been come out. You know what I mean? It's very much it's like they've just hired Donald Trump to come up with a statement. Like it's just like you know what I mean? It didn't say anything really. It just kind of said, "Bear with us, guys," and I was like, okay, well that's just not acceptable. They should have been harsher on this. Now I should add as well, like just from the point of view of the
children are watching that as well.
Yeah, like from the point of view of like just streaming platforms in general. No streaming platform at all or any content creation platform is guilt-free. Like there has been instances that have happened to all of them, but this is where Kick gets judged because of how they act. Like you're not going to stop stuff like this, unfortunately, happening. It's the nature of a live platform. Live things will happen in regards, and people will try.
It's how they respond.
That's the point exactly I'm making. It's how they respond to these incidences. They are going to happen. It's how the platform reacts. And if they don't react appropriately, then you're going to occur the wrath in which they have occurred. And this is also involved in a lot of content creators avoiding the platform, myself in many ways included. I have kind of come off the platform until I kind of see any actual action by Kick themselves, which is unfortunate because I literally just gained affiliate on there and also gained my first couple of subscriptions as well on there. So, a bit frustrating, so in that sense, but team, you can make your own opinions on this, but I mean the main thing takeaway for me is the position and the fact that this was allowed to be created in the first place, and the fact that the Kick CEO was in that stream and did not stop it. That's where it's rough. Look, people will try and push the boundaries of content. They absolutely will push the boundaries. And bear in mind the fact that the woman in that was fully aware that there was a live stream going on. She was fully aware of that. Consenting, yes. So in that sense there, everything that kind of happened up until the point that she was looking to leave was all consensual in that sense. But the moment it turned oppositely, or the moment it turned, that's where it should have been handled better. I mean, in fairness, in sense, the stream itself should not have been allowed. Like the woman, this kind of content alone should have been on a completely different website if it was going to be anywhere.
It doesn't belong on these kind of websites.
Exactly. So it was.
This is part of the reason why I've been doing a lot of reflecting. Like I've been looking. I've been watching things like from 10 years ago. I've been watching old PewDiePie stuff, like his old Dark Souls stuff, like Markiplier's Dead Space playthroughs, like Jacksepticeye on Happy Wheels and stuff like old like scene honors. I've been binging a lot of scene honors because I'm just sick of the modern state of what these platforms have become, and like this is a prime example of why I'm looking backwards, because I just don't see it getting any better.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I decided with his concept idea with like the streaming, living off viewer donations and stuff like that. I really like that idea. It's a good content idea. It's a good way to kind of do a live stream if you do an IRL stream, live off just solely donations. So I like the idea, but he's pushed it too far, and the fact that he is still able to live stream now is a bit of a joke, really. So I look, team, let us know your opinions on the matter in regards to this. Yeah. I think that I am so like I couldn't find many people actually fully explaining what actually happened in actual full detail. That's pretty much everything that accounted there. Like, don't go. There was other elements, but I wasn't actually in the stream, so I have basically had to look at multiple different videos, multiple different clips and stuff like that to fully determine everything that's happened that I could see, but there's maybe potentially more that I've even potentially missed. So if you notice any of that, make sure that you leave it in the comments as well. And with that, I also kind of felt it was on to slightly just looking at other platforms as well. Like I Twitch, there was more layoffs there. It wasn't nearly as big as what it was the last time we're talking about it, because there was also more layoffs. It's kind of prompted me to look at streaming back on Twitch as well, which I have been doing. I'm multi-streaming as well with Twitch, which is not technically allowed. And I am going back for affiliate again because I need to start earning money again through content. So I think I'm going to be streaming later today as well. In fairness, I've streamed every single day since FIFA came out. So far, so we're basically 2 weeks in a row of me being live every single day. Which is pretty decent. I'll take that every day of the week. But realistically, I need to be earning some more money. So YouTube is probably I'm probably not going to make it in time, and I'll explain in a second there. So Twitch is a way in which I can start earning again through making content in the pursuit of trying to make content creation sustainable. So one way you can help is by subscribing. So hit that subscribe button. But yes, so yeah, I'll be live on Twitch again as well, too. So if you want some FIFA content or stuff like that, make sure that you are subscribed onto my main channel, but also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, the podcast channel as well, and follow us. Not in real life, that's creepy, but follow us on Spotify and all that. Yeah. Yes. Aye. But yeah. Now, I kind of said to Remmy I would explain the issue that I'm having with YouTube at the moment. It's something that I have kind of not really talked about tried not to talk about. I have talked about it on stream briefly, but basically on YouTube I'm getting botted quite badly. If I have fairness in all my content, I seem to keep getting botted, and it's incredibly frustrating, right?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, there is.
I'm unprofessional. Sorry, cat was grand.
No, there is what it is. So yes, so on YouTube I'm currently getting botted, and it basically means that you look at my live streams, you're going to see the fact that
the numbers are quite high.
This
is what brought it on.
Yeah, so my YouTube streams, you look at them, you'll basically see the fact that there's a cat on the show as well.
This is going to get you some clicks.
Yeah, Arsene Wenger. Yeah, but yeah,
just making sure he stays quiet. That's why.
No worries. So, team, basically, when you look at my live streams, you'll see the fact that the numbers are slightly inflated. Now, in fairness, I do believe I'm getting maybe about 10 viewers a stream usually, but I've been getting botted for a while, so some of the videos have also been botted slightly as well, as I noticed, because they go up massively in views and they come down because YouTube is quite good at removing those viewers quite well, but they're not good at removing live viewers, and live viewers are quite an issue because they're viewed as your regular viewers in some ways when they come in. and because they're viewed as your regular viewers, when I make a video, my video gets pushed out to those bots. And because my video gets pushed out to those bots, they're not clicking on the video. And therefore, my click-through rate for videos is really short. And when it's low, your video then doesn't get pushed out as heavily to real viewers. And so I am at the moment fighting against bots right now. I'm trying my best. And Twitch as well, to put it this way, even the other day when I streamed for the first time on Twitch, I got bossed on there. Basically, I gained 1,000 followers within 30 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, I bet that must have been a shock.
Well, basically as well, I have a bot for my YouTube chat, which is where myself will say thank you whoever it is for the follow. The problem is I gained 1,000 of them. So you could not use my Twitch chat. There's also a 5-second delay.
I was there for that.
There was also a 5-second delay between the bot, so you genuinely could not use my Twitch chat at all because it was going so fast that it was ridiculous. So I just had to tell everyone, just go to YouTube chat. We'll just ignore the Twitch chat. So at the moment, my followers is like 2,100 odd. So again, I've nearly 1,000 followers within 30 seconds. It was a weird time to be in. Luckily, I caught it quickly because I turned off my alerts as soon as I saw it. Otherwise, I'd be hearing David Marshall's name constantly. It was.
I really wish I was there for that.
I mean, in fairness, the stream's probably archived, so you could probably go back and see it. But yeah, so that happened, and that wasn't great. And I don't know what it is. I just keep getting targeted by bots.
Is there any real way to? Do you think it's a viewer?
It's potentially somebody that's object. The problem is, right, for bots, typically speaking, you have to pay for it. Now, bots at the moment, as far as I am aware, and I'm not fully aware, I've not done the research in regards to this yet, but I don't think it's overly expensive to do it. Like, I think you can get somebody view botted for a couple quid, and I mean, I don't know how much I'd imagine 1,000 followers is not cheap, but that happened, and I'm not really sure why, to be honest. It's maybe someone that's just taking exception to me, and is for some reason just trying to deter me from making content. I have absolutely no idea. But the only thing I can do is just to keep making content, and eventually we'll be at the moment I'm gaining subscribers on YouTube slowly. As I keep gaining subscribers, the more real subscribers I'm gaining, the more that my videos get pushed out to them, and therefore any videos I'll keep posting will eventually get more and more views because it's getting pushed out to real people instead, as opposed to just the bots. So that's where I'm encountering issues, and I'm not gonna lie, the videos I've made already. So for Kolo Moani and Frank Lampard play reviews, both of them I think editing wise are significantly worth more views than what they've currently got. And I know I'm biased in that sense, but the videos themselves I think are actually very good, and I think they're worth a lot more views than what they've currently got. And look, they will gain views just by the search terms as well. The fact that it's Kolo Muani and Frank Lampard. I was quite lucky in some ways because Frank Lampard got linked to the Rangers job. While
you should do a David Beckham one.
I'm in the process of doing the David Beckham one. I have a David Beckham one and Mario Gomez. Honestly, that song is so catchy. It's unbelievable.
Nice scorpion kick, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was.
I was just briefly in while I was on the toilet.
Yeah,
and I seen that.
Mario Gomez makes content by himself. He's a mythical man. So I recommend anyone to literally get him if you're playing FIFA. But I will be making a video on it, so make sure you click on that video when it comes out as well. But yeah, that is. I think that's everything I can really cover in regards to content, really. So didn't ask you actually, Remy, do you have a query for today?
Well, I could, but I fear that it might actually be too far out there.
too far. Well, you know what? Try us with it, and we'll see. So let me introduce it because obviously, I'll need to do this for the video anyway.
Yeah.
So see, this is a part of the podcast in which I give Remy full control over it. This is where you can ask me or any guests that we get on, which I will be getting guests soon. Don't you worry, we will be getting guests soon. It's just scheduling terms is difficult. But we will be getting guests on soon. This is the part where Remy can ask us anything, and usually it'll be always quite a deep question, which it requires you to really think and evaluate life and all its mysteries. So today, Remy, what is your query?
Well, ironically, this all stemmed from me listening to, hearing a new song. Now, it's went viral, so you've probably heard it yourself. It's called "Rich Men of North Richmond." It's a country song. It's like exploded all over America. Now, the problem with this, Republicans are looking at this song like, yes, this is a great thing for us, and they even used it at one of their talks, their big conferences, and they used that song. And liberals are coming out and complaining about it. But they're also doing the exact same thing. Now, the guy who wrote this song is this is about all of you. This isn't about one side or the other. And it's shown 90% of people who are arguing about politics have no idea what they are talking about. So I'm wondering if anybody, because of how clueless we are as a society, I think we are giving rise to people like Andrew Tate. I think we are creating these monsters ourselves because people are so unaware of half the things they believe in that the world is now just policed and we're creating monsters. So your query in this sense is, are we our own worst enemies? Are we at fault for this? Are we at fault for people like Andrew Tate? Is it our fault that Ice Poseidon did what Ice Poseidon did? Is this just how far we've gone?
Right. Okay. I'll have to go struggle thinking of how to title that. But yeah, I think you know what. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it at some point. It's the Diary of the CEO podcast, where one of the guys they got on is kind of almost like a social media almost expert, or it's like psychologists and stuff like that, looks at human behavior and whatnot. And he's saying the way that the world's kind of gone, particularly of male masculinity, how it is in today's world.
Demonized?
It's the fact being masculine in many ways is actually looked down upon by many parts.
And here's the key part of masculinity: is not a trait that belongs to men. A woman can be masculine as well. So when you're looking down at masculinity, it's not just men,
Mm-hmm.
but it's men that are suffering because of this, and that is what if you create a scenario where you're not allowed to be what you feel is natural for you, you will cling on to people, as I said, like Andrew Tate, who at the start was speaking about masculinity, lures in the youth who feel like they don't have a voice, and then that's when the detritus comes out, and then you create your own problems.
Yeah, he was saying I haven't seen the full podcast, but one thing that he always does with his podcast is he always takes a clip and takes several little moments in the podcast, and one of the quotes in particular, I fully understood. He says one of the most dangerous things in the world right now are young men in their 20s that are completely alone. And it's because when that happens, they're completely alone. Realistically, from there, they'll focus their attentions on something, or they'll look for guidance, or they'll look for something, and they maybe look for it in the wrong place, in that regards. And this is where he was determining the likes of Andrew Tate and stuff like that has be given all this power. In so much way. Yeah. Now, again, I'm always somebody that always tries to look at both sides of the stories. There was a lot of things that Andrew Tate said that were actually spot on. He was actually
when he was talking about masculinity and
Yeah.
young men.
Yeah, he was spot on a lot of things, but then he said a lot of questionable things, particularly when it came to treating women. It was really like you know
And
not
because you've been lured in by is like, like that's how I feel. Like what he's talking about is like, oh, he must be right about this as well.
yeah, and it like that when I saw that podcast clip, I was just like, you know what, I understand where he's coming from with that. It's yeah, it gives birth to like likes of your Andrew Tates and likes of Ice Poseidon. People are trying to push the boundaries so far in content that because realistically, if you're outrageous for the right reasons, then you're going to go viral overnight. You're going to create a moment that everyone will remember. But if you're viral for the wrong reasons, then obviously you'll attract a certain type of audience in that regards, and that's potentially where these kind of people have come about. And now, when you were saying about the likes of people talking about politics, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I think that's also kind of like, maybe instead of just attaching yourself to Andrew Tate, you're attaching yourself to a group instead in that case.
Yeah.
And so
Group mentality.
aye. Like, for example, how many Celtic fans do you think have no idea what the IRA are?
Oh, vast majority.
Yeah, like don't understand what it was, what it did. Absolutely,
They just know the songs because of the football team. Like, I come from a Republican background, so I can attest to that.
Yeah,
over here it's a little bit different, but the rest of the world they have not a clue.
Yeah, and like that's where I feel like when you were talking about that part of the question, I felt that was maybe where you were going. Like how many people, like we were even talking, we're not going to talk about it too much, but we talked about just before the podcast the whole issue with Israel and Palestine. At the moment, that's quite a hot topic on social media because people are now coming out and say like Near Beton for Celtic, or Beaton I think it is, came out, ex-Celtic player, kind of basically argued against Celtic put out the Palestine banner that they did yesterday against Kilmarnock. And the fact that none of them actually fully understand. Half of them don't even know where Israel is on a map. So
most people don't.
Yeah, and I that perspective I get. Like and in fairness, I think it also stems from another point as well of the fact that people getting brainwashed by what they're told on social media and not taking into account both sides, not actually looking at it from the perspectives of everyone involved, and then from there forming your opinions. That's
what democracy is meant to be. You have to look at both sides of the situation. You have to, especially in the modern day and age, you have to approach everything so diplomatically that it's sucking the enjoyment out of life. Most people don't even know anything about the area, like the conflict. This conflict has been going on for what is it, over 1,000 years or something?
Yeah, it's kind of it's what it is in that sense. And like the Ra one is one I see the kind of most common because obviously Scotland are Celtic fans, and you obviously probably see it.
That I did briefly say it before, but the whole the IRA thing in Palestine, that's kind of linked.
Yeah,
and that's why you see such a large majority of Celtic fans specifically supporting that because that came from over here. Like the IRA were supporting Palestine because Britain was supporting Israel and stuff like that. So it came out of that. Then it just spread into the rest of the club.
Yeah,
became synonymous with it.
Yeah, and in fairness, in fairness, I did see some people on social media changing their tune slightly in regards when people are actually talking out against it, against the Free Palestine
from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in fairness, put it this way, right? You can have you're absolutely entitled to your opinion, but when new information comes about that we weren't aware of beforehand, you've either got to change your perspective, or it's basically it's shame on you for basically sticking by an opinion that is potentially wrong in that sense. You need to always try and understand both sides, because realistically that's the fairest way to look at it, and you then that way also form your own opinion rather than always listening to exactly everything that you're hearing. Because you don't know everything that you're hearing is always going to be correct, especially in this day and age of the internet. Even sometimes seeing a video or pictures is not always a
That is a snapshot of a situation.
Yeah. Like, as we pointed out with Onana in the previous part of the podcast, anyone can look good in the highlight reel. So, but you need to see everything. You need to see the whole picture to really fully discern what your own opinion is or how you feel about a situation. So with the likes of Andrew Tate and stuff like that, yes, I think even most people would really fully acknowledge when you look at the full picture of Andrew Tate, he's not a great man at all. But
even at that, on the negative end of the scale, even on the positive end of the scale, where you have like content creators or personalities that are giving good advice and like are just generally trying to be good people, you shouldn't be listening to them either. You like it's a matter for debate, but just don't listen to what anybody online is trying to tell you.
Yeah, don't listen to us. We're arseholes.
No, we're knobs. Just like go out, learn about the world yourself, and come up with your own ideas and thoughts. Because the reality is, quite a lot of these people don't care.
Yeah,
it's their job, it's their life.
Aye, and look, a lot of people are just trying to be outrageous sometimes, just for the fact of trying to go viral overnight. They try to just decide, you know what, I want a brand new life. Let me just say something to be outrageous, and people are like, "Oh wow, that was amazing," or "That oh wow, that's awful," and then they share it, and the person goes viral overnight, and next thing you know, they've got a new job. It's some people are just trying to make money off you as well, so bear that in mind as well. But yeah. Radio team, I think on that note we'll end the podcast there. So thank you all for tuning in and watching. If you're not already, make sure you are subscribed, and make sure you like the video if you are on YouTube, and if you are following this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, or your Nan's TV, thank you very much, and also continue to listen to the podcast as well. But make sure as well you get yourself over to the YouTube as well, because obviously there's more content coming out there, and I do try and post as much as I can. Obviously it's a little bit harder with the likes of me do the YouTube content as well, but we will make sure that we get this stuff out to you as soon as we can. Yes. Anything else to add, Remy?
No. Remember to brush your teeth.
Yes, do that, team. Very important. Otherwise you end up with teeth like mine.
Always wipe twice.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, no, don't eat yellow snow. Anyway, unless you made it. Wait, what?
Homemade.
Snow cone. Right. Well, that's one way to sign up a podcast.
It's entertaining at least.
Yes. Radio team. Catch us later on. Adios.